Today I'm going to be presenting about poverty and education in America. What comes to mind when you think of poverty? What sort of images come to mind? How do you think it affects the everyday life of those experiencing it? The United States Census measures poverty by thresholds. Most commonly, it is illustrated by a family of four living on an annual income of $24,563 or less per year. The income threshold increases or decreases by about $5,000 by adding or taking away one household member. Poverty tends to become a cycle that can continue in families for generations. Looking at this map of poverty rate by counties in the United States, one can recognize that poverty tends to be concentrated in large cities and rural areas, especially where minority groups make up a large portion of the population. The demographics of a city or region, statistically speaking, are affected quite heavily by the ethnicities that make up the area. As you can see by looking at this chart, poverty rates among minority groups more than double those of the white population in these areas. So what effects does poverty have on the people living in these areas? Living in a poor socioeconomic setting can affect nutrition, mental health, crime rates, and the quality of education. This is what I want to focus on for the remainder of the presentation. Poverty rates are very influenced by the level of education held by the heads of households of the inhabitants of these areas. As you can see here, most of the people living in poverty in any type of household either did not graduate high school or only have a high school diploma, limiting their employment opportunities. So how is a child's education affected by growing up in such poverty circumstances? Their education is affected because there is less educational experience at home, there are lower quality schools and less experienced teachers, there's less access to learning materials at home and at school, and they are less likely to have access to information about college and for seeking to improve their education. This is one of the most influential reasons that the cycle of poverty continues for generations. In 2014, the high school dropout rate among students 16 to 24 years old was highest among low-income students at 11.6%, compared to students of higher income families at 2.8%. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau, individuals within the top family income quartile are 8 times more likely to obtain a bachelor's degree by age 24 as compared to the individuals from the lowest family income quartile. So what can be done to improve the quality of education for the families and individuals in these areas? Research has shown that the quality of education can be enhanced by a focus on improving teaching and learning, creation of an information-rich environment, building of a learning community, continuous professional development among teachers and administrators, involvement of parents in the educational process of their children, and increased funding and resources from state and national governments to allow schools to purchase more learning materials and to provide higher quality teachers so that students can obtain a higher quality education. Much effort has been made in many cities and school districts to develop after-school programs and take-home programs in order to help children focus more on education. Improving the quality of education in school districts and cities will not only improve the quality of life for the students and families in those areas, but the overall quality of living in the United States will be improved. A more focused effort and emphasis should be placed on improving the quality of education in America.